Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, beta.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay. So you understood the introduction of it, right? You understood the introduction of era of one party dominance, right? So when I was talking to you about one party dominance, okay, so this was just a small gist I have brought to you again when it says that what was the challenges of establishing democracy, right? So remember these important dates when it says that 26th November 1949 the constitution was adopted and signed, okay? And when it came into being it was 24th, that is it was came into being in the sense it was brought into effect on 26th January. It was signed on 24th January. It was brought into effect on 26th January. Okay, so during this period, country was being ruled by an interim government. Now, what is this interim government? Can somebody explain to me what is this interim government? I'm just revising my last yesterday's thing when I asked you that in 49 26 49 this thing it was adopted 26 November 1949. Our constitution was adopted, it was signed on 24th of January, and it was enacted on 26 January 1950. But during that time the country was ruled by an interim government in the sense that when we had already got independence but still we were not full-fledged government. As I told you, 1950 we started, we had first elections in 1952, right? So we had not started working in a full-fledged manner. Our government had not started working in a full-fledged manner. So there was this interim government, that was this provincial, the temporary government, right? Interim means you can say that a temporary government or a caretaker government, or a government which is working till the actual government comes into being. Okay, so that time this interim government, because this government had not come due to the election, no, it was just an ruled by, I'll show you the picture of those people, the members of the government, the people ruling during that time. So the election commission, we know that it was set up in 1950, as I told you, and he was the first election commissioner, as I told you before also, that is Sukumar Sen, right? And then it was expected that the first general election would be on 1950. So when this election commissioner took over, what did I tell you? When this election commission took over, there were a lot of flaws, lot of things. When the voters list was made, it was understood, it was seen to it that certain names of women were not certain, many names of women were not there. It was just addressed as wife of this, wife of that. So it was not the actual, there was so much delimitation of constituency, there was so much work to do. So it was 1950 when this election commissioner started working on it. So it took about 2 years to actually come off to this elections. So from October, the elections were held from October 1951 to February 1952. But because we say in the beginning there were very less number of people who came to vote, they were not inspired, they did not understand the system of voting. So October 1951, there were less voters. So by 1952 there were lot of voters, they came in to vote. So that's why we call this first general election as 1952 election. All right, so when there is a question that when did the first general election was held, you cannot say 1951, you have to say 1952. Okay, so this was the first interim government. This is the picture of first interim government. Now let's see how many of us can recognize some faces here. Can we recognize some faces here? Can you say who is he?
Ma'am, Siddharth Patel.
Yes, yesterday it was there in your exam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
So he's Sardar Patel. And who is he? C. Rajagopalachari. Who is he?
Jawaharlal Nehru.
Some
Nehru.
common faces are there, no? So if we really go through it, at least 5 to 6 names you can understand from here. And I would expect you to understand, because again, I'm telling you, if in your exam and all, this also very easily, this name you can understand. Why? Because last year when there was Constitution Day, Arifa's time, there was one girl who this whole they had made the parliament, so she was also there. That is last year you did that Constituent Assembly of Constituent Assembly. Who did? No, the first batch did Constituent Assembly. You did 370 articles, scrapping of 370 articles. So when they did about Constituent Assembly, they had made everybody of them, and there was this girl also made, just one girl had turned out to be in this. And who is she? I would like you to tell me. I would love that you
Ma'am,
would tell. Hmm?
she is Rajkumari Amrit Kaur.
Yes, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. Very good.
Amrit Kaur.
Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. So try to take out maximum names. If you are not able to take out all, I would expect this is also a very common name. This is also a very common name.
Ma'am, he is Maulana Azad.
Maulana Azad.
Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. So he is Abul Kalam Azad. So he's Azad, Nehru, Gopalachari, this thing, Sardar Patel,
Sardar
Amrit
Patel.
Kaur. Yes, now these are left. So see to it कि यहाँ से भी आप एक दो उठा लोगे and you will be able to do it. So this was interim government, right? It was a provincial government. It was a government which was a temporary government. It was a government which was working in the transitional period. Transitional period means from decolonization to democracy. We were decolonized, and then these Britishers were helping out, right, to form an actual government. So this government was set up as an interim government, and most of the members here are from Congress. Congress was not a party like that, no, it was an association working for freedom struggle, right? So this was it. Then what happened? They said, this I was talking about the election here, right? Okay, I will first tell you about this. So when they talk about the first general election, as we studied yesterday, it is said that the election was a mammoth task. Mammoth task means a huge, gigantic, a very difficult task to arrange for everything, right? It required the delimitation and the drawing of electoral constituency and preparation of electoral roll. There's a just revision going on of last day. So at that time, there was 17 crore eligible voters who had to elect about 3,200 MLAs and 489 members of Lok Sabha. Only 15% of these voters were literate. That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing. So yesterday I quoted somebody from Britain about what was it? Who will tell me? I quoted some because they were expecting it will be a flop show. Who was that person who said that? And what did he say? If you remember yesterday's teaching of mine, you will surely tell me that somebody said something that what they made mockery out of all this. What was that? Come on, let me see. Let me see how careful you are and how you really study at home after my teaching you.
Ma'am, he was a British civil servant.
Yeah, I'm telling you that he was a British civil servant. But what did he say? That I told you, he was a British civil servant. But when when we adopted democracy, he mocked. And he said that in this illiterate, where the people are almost illiterate, you want to have democracy. You want to give the chance to common man to think and elect the appropriate person for the government in power. So he made mockery. And what was that mockery? Come on. Who will be the first one to tell me? Come on. You can tell me. I told you when Britishers made fun that it will not be possible. And then what happened? When it was made possible, then people were awestruck. People were awestruck because it is true that it was 15% were illiterate during our time, and to make ballot boxes and to make them vote, it was not easy. To make them vote, it was not easy. How to tell about the person who's nominated, who's the person, and what will be his manifesto, what will be. So it was so difficult. It was so difficult. So then what did he say? He says that that whatever step you are taking, the world will laugh at you later on, because you are committing a fiasco. You're doing something which will be disastrous, right? So, but what happened? But the whole world witnessed our success story. The whole world witnessed our success story. What did that British civil servant had said? A future and more enlightened age will view with astonishment absurd force of recording the votes of millions of illiterate people. See the last line of page number 165. Underline that. I can ask you again. So he said people will be astonished. The absurd way of voting. Absurd way of voting, and voting made by illiterate, millions of illiterate people. And when the way of process of voting was done, it was really successful. And then people started saying that the world will be astonished to see that how this illiterate people very nicely they voted, right? And very correctly they voted. What was expected of them, very correctly they voted. Okay. And then it says that you have to understand that what did they do? What did they do? It says that because our population was illiterate, so they adopted a very novel method. All right. And what was the novel method? The novel method was exactly what we do in our school nowadays, in our cabinet. That is not the actual method, no? Do we put the photographs and symbol on the papers? You get it? No. You get an empty paper with a stamp. Have you voted in the school cabinet anytime? Have you voted in the
Yes,
school?
ma'am.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
answer is
Yes,
not
ma'am.
there. Yes. So you have voted for the school council, student council so many times. So that was the way our first election was held. There were different ballot boxes kept with different different people's photograph, right? So different ballots were kept, and the person used to go in and put the empty paper in that particular ballot. But that is not the right thing, no? Anybody can change from there, pull up some ballot sheets and put it, because no name is written on that ballot sheet. But that was the way it was done for the first time. Now they don't do it. Now it is EVM, right? Before the EVM, it was really the ballot boxes, but not this kind. It was on the symbol. We had to put a stamp and then put it in one box only, so that nobody should see that which box I had gone to. So we used to insert it into one big ballot box with the symbol of paper, which the paper we used to get, there used to be all the symbol and the photographs of the nominated person and the symbol, the party name and the symbol. So if I am voting for Congress, I will put my stamp on that Congress party, fold my ballot paper and put it in the ballot box. That was the second stage. And this third stage is now we use electronic voting machines, right? But what was the first time? The first time was that there were different ballot boxes for different nominated people. So there were 4 people, right? So this different nominated people had different ballot boxes, and people were given empty, blank ballot paper. They had to fold it and put it in, right? And the first general election was also a first big test of democracy in a poor and illiterate country. Organizer, a magazine, wrote that, see what comment was given, Jawaharlal Nehru would would live to confess the failure of universal adult franchisee in India. They said that because he was a well-known person and it was expected maybe he would be the first prime minister. And so people said he'll be, when he became the first prime minister later, they said that he will be the live example to tell people, because he was youngest of so many other freedom fighters. He said he will be witness to how this universal adult franchisee was a failure in our country, because they did expect that it would be a success, because it took 6 months to campaign, polling and counting to be completed. 6 months it took, right? Campaigning, then the voting was done in different voting booths, and then how the counting took place. The ballot boxes were sealed and carried in the train under security, and it was taken, and then it was sent to a particular place. It was either taken to Delhi or some such kind of a place, and then it was so then it was taken to such kind of a place, and then it was counted. So it took 6 long months. 6 long months, can you imagine? And there were, we all know it, that, yeah, yesterday also again I told you there were 4 contestants, right, contesting for a seat, and more than half of the eligible voters came out to vote. So that means that when more than half, 50% of them came to vote, so elections were successful. Elections were successful, and Indian experiment proved the critics wrong, right? The one who were criticizing, they were embarrassed, because we proved them wrong. So we were successful in that case. All right. Now the question arises that our first election was held in this. Now we are talking something about, and we say that when we talk about first election that was held, you have to underline that there were 3 general elections we'll be talking about: 1952, 1957, and 1962. Right? And in 1952, as we said, there were large number of ignorant people, illiterate mass responding to the elections, right? But the main thing what we are talking about is, we are talking about the how Congress, why Congress was all the 3 elections, it was all the 3 elections, the Congress got clean sweep. Congress got clean sweep. Congress was the only party, because these illiterate people just knew about Congress. They did not know any other name, because Congress was an association. Congress was an association which really worked before as a freedom struggle or for the freedom of India. So people knew its name. Now let's see, we talk about evolution of party system in India. So when we talk about evolution of party system in India, we talk about Indian National Congress. So you have to understand that in 1885, Indian National Congress was found. So in your previous years, you have studied that who was the one who founded Indian National Congress? Let me see who will say.
A.O. Hume.
Yes, very good. A.O. Hume, good. So it is
A.O. Hume.
Yes, very good, beta. So this person, he was the one who founded this Indian National Congress. All right, and it emerged first as a pressure group. You have studied pressure group last year. Pressure group means pressurizing the government for fulfilling a particular objective, to fulfill a particular objective. So it was just a pressure group, and there were the educated, professional, and commercial classes. Slowly, it was basically inhabited by, or it was a group of intellectuals, right? There were less of illiterates there. It was a group of basically the intellectual, educated people, right? It was a group of educated people, and slowly and steadily, as we know, big professionals and commercial classes, high businessmen, high people, well-known people of India, they started slowly joining it. And then this pressure group turned out to be a mass movement, right? Mass means when too many work on it together, it is called as a mass movement, right? So it converted into a mass movement. Okay, so first it was pressure group, later when people joined, it became a mass movement. Okay, so they basically, their struggle was for the independence. All right, independence. And then independence means, then it became a dominant political party. People started eventually knowing their name as a big political party, Congress, right? And Congress began as party dominated by English speaking, you have to understand, English speaking, upper caste, upper middle class, and urban elite. They were all educated people, strong educated people, highly educated people, highly rich class people. These were there. These were there, right? So big movements like civil disobedience movement, non-cooperation movement, all these movements basically were started by this Congress, under this umbrella of this Congress. So people, what I'm heading towards, we have to understand why all the three elections, why every time we are talking, the lesson name is era of one party dominance. It was a period of one party dominance after our independence. Why? Because this was the party which started as pressure group, then it turned into a mass movement, then it was a party of high upper class people, and then it was a people party where who started that civil disobedience movement, non-cooperation movement. All these movements were basically started by this congressman, this association, Indian National Congress, right? And then gradually its leadership also expanded beyond the upper caste and upper class professionals to agriculture based leader with rural orientation. When slowly the time came, it was even the rural people, even the agriculturists, everybody came and joined, right? Because they had a lot of respect for Congress. Congress was like, you know, the only association which had worked hard towards a freedom struggle, and the people were not politically influenced, they were influenced by the freedom struggle. So people, common man, the common mass had a lot of respect for it, right? So by the time of independence, this Congress was transformed into a rainbow like social coalition till we got independence. By the time we got independence, this Congress was not just of the upper class or intellectual or those people. It was a mixture, it was a rainbow of people from every class, every society, every region, every language, various interests. So it was a diversified institution, a diversified association. Okay, so this question is very important when it comes that why Congress only was so dominant after the independence. So it was dominant, so that means till we reached up the independence, Congress was there standing tall and strong. But this Congress was just not now of the elite people. It was a mixture or amalgamation, or you can say it had merged every people from all the classes who were ready to give their life of for the country, who had a patriotic zeal, who were not ordinary people, the people who worked for the struggle. They all had joined, and it was a coalition of identity. Okay, it was an ideological coalition. It was a coalition of different ideas. Congress has had become amalgamation of all the different ideas, right? So it accommodated the revolutionary and pacifist conservative. In Congress there were certain conservatives. Remember that when you had studied about this in your junior classes, in your lower classes, you might have studied that this Congress also had two kind of people. They were called as extremist and moderate. The extremists, little stern people, the one who wanted to they were too loud, they were too vocal, they wanted some action. They wanted the result fast. Their ideology was little different than the ones who were moderate. So moderate people were little slow. They believed in slow and steady wins the race. They felt that if we have to first do the paperwork, then we have to get the result. We don't have to have a short-lived freedom. We want a long-term result. So there were different ideologies, right? People from different ideology or different thought process were there. It was just not a one kind of people. They were people, it accommodated. You have to understand that Congress accommodated all people from all walks of life, people from different languages, different class, different professional group, different ideology. So it was a very strong association, very strong association. And it was the basically only strong association, very strong association. So a common man had a lot of respect for this name called Congress, right? So this Congress was a platform of various group interests and even political parties to take part in the national movement. In the pre-independence days, many organization and parties, right? Many organization and parties with their own constitution and organizational structure were allowed to exist within Congress. So within Congress, people of different thought process, different things, they were existing. They were there. They were there. They were given the chance to even argue or even uh, debate on certain things. So they had a different things, different, like remember that B.R. Ambedkar, Gandhi ji, Sardar Patel. Just imagine Jawaharlal Nehru. These people were of different ideologies. These people had different uh, perspective, their own opinions. So everybody used to keep forward their opinions, so that's why the outcome used to be too great, and a very good outcome used to be there because of all these intellectuals. Now they said that what was the in the groups also, when there were factions kya hote hai? When they were drift or divide, as I told, extremist and moderate, when there were divides in the Congress also, still they did not break up, right? During those time also, still they did not break up. That was the unusual strength. This coalition was an unusual strength, right? They accommodated those who joined in, they compromised, and inclusiveness are the hallmark of the coalition. Coalition in the sense, it was not just one, again I'm telling you, it was not just one ideology, it was ideology of different people, different class, different religion, right? And that's why there was a great tolerance. So this party had all the things available in it which the people got passionate about, right? Which the people got passionate about. So that's why when they I mean when it was when we got freedom, the only name which people remembered was Congress, because there were so many good things about Congress which was associated with it. Is it clear to everybody? Is it clear to everybody? So what basically I want to tell you is, we have to now study about what we are going to study is that I told you there were about three elections. You have to understand this. In this chapter we are talking about three elections, all right? And what were the three elections? 1952, 1957, and
57,
then
1962,
yes, 1960,
62, 2.
62. So these were the three first general elections we will be talking about. All right. And I've told you, because what I'm telling you, that this every time the all in all the elections, it was Congress all over. It was Congress all over. So we have to talk about today. I'll end up this No, still we can go for 5 minutes more. Are you tired? Are you tired? No, no. So let's just because see, you have finished the coalition. I've taken up 2-3 topics of yours, but let me see. Just okay. The we'll take up this the first 3 journal elections, underline 1952, 1957 and 1962, right? So 1952 elections saw a large mass of ignorant and illiterate mass responding to elections. We all know it, right? And what happened in 1952? Congress won around 45% of vote share and 74.3 seats. Okay, underline this. Congress got 364 out of 489 seats. Can you imagine? 364 out of 489 seats. So the Communist Party, which came next, only got 16 seats. So what a clean sweep. This 364 is called as absolute majority. This is called absolute majority. Just you have to understand, in Lok Sabha, it won the whole of the India, they won, except in Travancore, that is Kerala. A part of Kerala, there the Communist Party ruled. Right? There the Communist Party won, whereas rest everywhere it was like that. And then what happened in 1957? In 1957 election, Congress won 47.8 vote share and 75.1% of seats. Underline this. Likewise, in 1962 election, Congress got 44.7% vote and covered 73% of seats. You have to underline there, right? So there was a wide gap in popular vote share and seat share of Congress and other opposition party. You can imagine what a clean sweep, right? Just in Kerala, again you have to remember, just in Kerala, in all the 3 elections, everywhere Congress won, everyone. Just there with in Kerala, it was that with CPI they had to form government in coalition. All right. Apart from shock in Kerala, Congress continued to be the dominant party. The Congress got 3 out of 4 seats it contested in the election. Just imagine. However, Congress used to get less than 50% of the total votes because people did not come out to vote in that number, right? So the Socialist Party and all that, you have to give a reading. There were 3%, there were 10%, but ultimately Congress was the Congress system won everywhere, right? So electoral strength of Congress during these 3 elections was due to the institutional strength of party. The name of party, that is its internal strength. The Congress system, it was called Congress system, allowed district leaders to distribute patronage and incorporate social groups at local level, because everywhere Congress name was literally sold out as a freedom struggle party. So people correlated everything to all the freedom struggle to Indian National Congress. So that is the time when all the 3 elections Congress won. Okay. So 168 page number, you can see the map there. And can you see Kerala? Can you see Kerala in 168 page number? Just Kerala.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it was a coalition government with CPI. You remember, Communist Party of India with CPI. So you have to remember this map there. Then you come up to page number 170, which we'll be doing tomorrow, right? The first phase, the second phase, and the third phase. So I end up today here. All right. I've end up here. And then tomorrow we'll go further. Okay. So how was your paper today? Was it good? Were you
Yes, ma'am.
okay? Very good.